The meeting of the Committee of Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of School Directors will please come to an order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon?
Present.
Director Jackson?
Present.
Director Leonard?
Present.
Director Zombor?
Present.
Chair Garcia?
Present.
We have 5 committee members present.
The Chair will now ask the Secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so, and asks those that do not wish to participate to please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. In order to allow as much public access and participation as possible, this meeting is also being broadcast via live stream on the MPS website and on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si desea escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Nuevamente, 312-626-6799. E introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out the speaker slip and bring it to the board clerk, Dr. Mann. There are no virtual speakers registered to speak. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record. For the sake of fairness and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Written testimony will be accepted and transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53201, or fax it to 414-475-8071, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert Rules of Order dictates that all comments should be directed to the chair of the committee. Also, any questions or requests, including those from the public, committee members, or the administration, are to be directed towards the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. For the safety of all and to ensure a good order of the meeting, harassment or intimidation tactics of any kind will not be tolerated. Anyone who engages in such harassing or intimidating words or actions will immediately be asked to cease. If such behavior continues, a recess will be called and the offending parties will be removed from the meeting. Anyone ejected from the meeting may continue to listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. However, the individual will not be allowed to rejoin the meeting. Also, no one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees. Finally, for our listening audience, if you wish to access the agenda, this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the meetings, agendas, and minutes page on our MPS website. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Item number 1 is action on monthly personnel matters, action on the classified personnel transactions, action on the certificated appointments, the leaves of absence, the report on certificated resignations and classified retirements, and the affirmative action report. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions, appointments, and leaves as listed in the attachments to this item to be effective upon board approval.
Would the administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, Keith Posley, Superintendent of Schools. We're asking for your approval of the monthly personnel and reporting items before you. Have Adria Maddaleni, Chief Human Resources Officer, is here with me this evening, and she's prepared to go over this report, and after which we'll be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have in regards to this report. Adria.
Thank you, Dr. Posley. Director Garcia, members of the committee, Adria Maddaleni, Chief Human Resources Officer. I just wanted to spend a moment to give a little update on where we are with regards to staffing and vacancies. Right now, currently, for teaching positions, when it comes to our core content, we're looking at 159 teacher vacancies. But when you take into account the other specials like art, music, phy-ed, foreign language, we're looking at overall 234 teacher vacancies. This is a better spot than we were at the start of the summer. At the start of the summer, we had a total of over 300 plus vacancies for teachers. With regards to para vacancies, we're at 191 para vacancies. This is definitely an improvement. We're closer to about 260 at the start of the summer. So we are working feverishly. I also would like to point out that we have been busy in human resources. I mean, overall, you can see from the affirmative action report, we have hired 194 teachers for the start of the school year, and we have hired 100 paras for the start of the school year. I would also like to make a plug to the listening audience. We do have a job fair here at Central Office tomorrow evening from 5 to 7 p.m. Anyone who's interested in working for the district in a variety of capacities, we're hiring for teachers, paras, building service, food service, secretaries. Please stop by. We are doing on-site interviews. We're offering testing that's required. And so please stop by, learn about the opportunities. We would very much love to see you join the MPS family. Also would like to highlight with building service helpers, we are down to 15 vacancies, which we are very excited about. So we believe in a short time, probably after this recruitment fair, we should be down to 0 and we'll be having a wait list for individuals. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Director Leonard?
So it's better news than last year. This is, I mean, I'm actually rather pleasantly surprised. So a couple of questions. One, how many vacancies still in food service?
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Adria Maddaleni, Chief Human Resources Officer. At the moment, we're at roughly 130, but we do have a number of individuals that are in physical and background status. That's about 50 plus. So we're hoping we can push those through, and majority of those will come on and be hired.
Any follow-up?
Yeah, just a little bit. So I'm going to ask you for your prognosis on getting those other positions much closer to being filled. Because right now, this time of year, as a teacher, I remember we were doing just fine in the beginning when it came to vacancies, but as the year goes along, even 2 vacancies in a building can start to wear a person down. So I'm just curious on the prognosis on making sure or being as close as possible to fill those positions.
Ms. Maddaleni?
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Adria Maddaleni, Chief Human Resources Officer. When it comes to teaching positions, we do see a drop-off in hires and filling as the school year starts. We still be pushing through, but I think we can get it closer to 100, get it closer down on the core content. I think we can get there. We are still bringing in international teachers, although we don't see them yet. There's about another 20 or so that are going to be starting within the next couple weeks. They've got their visa approved and flights are scheduled, and so they should be seen in the schools. And then There's probably another 40 to 50 after that our visas are still in process, and we're hopeful that they could still come on at some point, that may be later October or November. When it comes to the classified positions, I feel we are in a good spot to get food service and safety down significantly. School safety assistant, we have 47 vacancies, but we have 20 that are ready to report to training that I believe is going to be on the 25th reporting, and we have a number that are in physical and background check. We got a lot of candidates and applicants at our last job fair last month. We had close to 300 attendees. So that's helped us, and we're processing all those individuals now. So I'm hoping we'll see the fruits of that labor as we move forward. Food service, we are definitely hitting the ground. We have the recruitment fairs going on. We have worked with Freighter, who's doing our physicals for our food service in particular, and they're speeding up the process. They're doing specifically our food service, so we're trying to get them in faster and get them into classes. I will just say, we hire people, we do the best we can. Not all of them show up on day one. And so that's the struggle. We understand that, so that's why we're going to push, even if we see a vacancy number that's at 0. We're continuing. We're getting a wait list. We're hiring because we know people, while they're hired, they don't necessarily show up on day one. So we're not going to ease off the pedal at all.
Follow-up?
Thank you. Closer to 100 would be sort of normal for MPS, to be honest. I mean, even when I was 100 vacancies was not unusual, so thank you very much. Keep up the great work.
All right. Is it Director Jackson?
Yes. Out of the 194 hired teachers, that was the number?
That is correct, Dr.
Okay.
Jackson.
Do you have a breakdown, like percentage, as far as district-wise, how many teachers are new hires in each district?
Chair Garcia, Director Jackson, members of the committee, Adrian Matalini, Chief Human Resources Officer. I do not have that broken down with me, but I can get that to you quickly.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Is there any other questions? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. For the administration, I do have a question about why in the classified transactions we don't list the classified resignations. Is that, is that something that we can add moving forward?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zambor, Adrian Matalini, or members of the committee, Adrian Matalini, Chief Human Resources Officer. I can't speak to the history of it. I know it's always been a report on certificated transaction or resignations, necessarily not the classified. If the board wishes to make changes to that, we would be more than happy to do that if that's the request. Again, these are reporting items, so reporting month previously.
Follow-up?
Okay, thank you for that. And then if you had to, you don't have to have the exact amount, but roughly how many FTE positions do you have working on recruitment efforts right now? Like how many people are kind of out there doing that work?
Ms. Matalini.
Chair Garcia, Director Zambor, members of the committee, Adrian Matalini, Chief Human Resources Officers. I have specifically 2 recruitment coordinators, but I do have a team in talent management that's 20 strong, and we all chip in between specialists and the assistants in doing recruitment efforts. Right now, my Senior Director of Talent Management is at a recruitment event right now doing what we can to get some library media specialists. So we all take a hands-on approach, and even people in our benefits department come in and support. It is all hands on deck when it comes to recruitment events, especially over the summer, because it's a lot of events, and we kind of divvy it up, share the wealth, who can chip in, volunteer to go to these events that often happen outside of a normal work day. We also get a lot of support from other departments and areas in central office for like our job fairs that happen here at central office. We have food service. They have their hiring team doing interviews. We have people from school administration, principals coming doing interviews. So it really is a team effort.
Any follow-up?
Thank you.
All right, is there any other members of the committee that have questions or comments? All right, do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
All right, Director Zumber, saw your hand.
I just would like to approve the administration's recommendation on the monthly personnel matters and also direct the administration to add the classified resignations to all future classified transaction reports.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing that, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the monthly personnel matters as outlined by the administration with a report to come back that includes classified resignations. Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Did that motion need to be seconded?
As we are at the committee level, we do not need a second
Okay.
at this time.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 2, which is action on recommended administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments and reclassifications, salary increases and decreases, and the limited term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. The recommendation is that the board approve the promotions and appointments, as well as the leaves, and the limited term employment contracts as listed in the attachment to this item to be effective upon board approval.
Thank you. Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we're requesting your approval of this item as it outlines this month's administrative appointments, promotions, reclassifications, salary adjustments, and LTE contracts. Adria Matalini, Chief Human Resources Officer, is here with me this evening, and between the two of us, we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Mr. Chason.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Matt Chason, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. In July, annually, the board delegates to the administration the right to take on expulsion and suspension hearings through the use of an independent hearing officer. There's a couple of LTEs this month in the listing that relate to that position. I wasn't sure if maybe the administration could share with how that selection process is done for the selection of those officers and how they get vetted through our process.
Administration?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this goes through the Department of Student Services, and there is a list of individuals that Mr. Boswell and the team reaches out to, and they have to my understanding, a posting out there to be able to find individuals that are looking to do this type of work, but also individuals with a background that has been former teachers, former administrators, and those individuals that are geared to do this work. And so with that, after which those names are compiled and sent upstairs for signature, and they are then submitted to go on the board item. So that's what you see tonight.
Any follow-up, Mr. Chason? Perfect. Any other members wish to make comments or ask questions on this item? All right, do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
We have no request for public testimony.
All right, then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Madam President. Herndon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I recommend that we accept the recommendation of administration at this time.
Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call a roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the administrative appointments, promotions, reassignments, and reclassifications, the salary increases and decreases, and the limited term employment contracts exceeding 60 days. On the motion as read, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director Zombor?
Aye.
Chair Garcia?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, I would like to request that 2 items be moved up on the agenda, seeing that we have some members in the audience that came to these items. So it would be number 7 and 8, if we can go to those items.
So noted. Item number 7 is action on a request to waive administrative policy 5.01, Parent 6, Parent B, to rename Harold S. Vincent High School, located at 7501 North Granville Road, to the Harold S. Vincent School of Agricultural Science. The recommendation is that the board, 1, waive the board rule and waive the administrative policy 5.01, Parent 6, Parent B, renaming of school facilities, and 2, approve the name of Harold S. Vincent School, located at 7501 North Granville Road, to the Harold S. Vincent School of Agricultural Science.
Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, the item before you on this evening's agenda is for your approval to recognize the agriculture emphasis on Vincent High School, has had for several years and will continue to have, by renaming it Harold S. Vincent School of Agricultural Science. I have Dr. Jennifer Smith, Regional Superintendent for the high school region, to walk us through the process, as well as we have Principal here with us, Heidi Zeely, that's here with us as well. Dr. Smith.
Good evening, Chair Garcia, members of the committee. I'm Jennifer Smith, Regional Superintendent of the high school region, and I'm joined by Heidi Zeely, Assistant Principal in charge of Vincent High School. We are pleased to bring forward the request for a name change of Vincent High School to support their commitment to the agricultural sciences. In their 5th year of programming and school-wide focus on the development of agricultural awareness and environmentally responsible practices, Vincent has collaborated with other schools and with district teams to develop and implement rigorous coursework in agricultural curricular areas. These include science, literature, business, and social sciences. The commitment of Vincent supports the Board Resolution 1920R-016 that resolves to establish and build partnerships with agricultural organizations. The school has existing relationships with ReFlow, the Urban Ecology Center, Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District, the City of Milwaukee Forestry Department, and 4-H, among others. Currently, the school offers students specialized coursework in one of 6 agricultural pathways: agribusiness and entrepreneurship, animal science, culinary arts, environmental science, food science, and horticulture. The proposal before you tonight will make the official name change to Harold S. Vincent School of Agricultural Science. The staff at Vincent has spoken with overwhelming support for the name change to reflect their commitment to educating students with the themes of agriculture, environmental responsibility, agribusiness, and energy conservation embedded in their programs. And we have in the audience tonight members of our Vincent Agriculture Department, so thank you for recognizing them and bringing this item forward. We are confident that with the current work and the new focused identity of the school to better promote agriculture education, our students will be successful in the agricultural education pathways outlined at the school. Ms. Zeely and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that. President Herndon, I know you have a couple of things to share with us.
I certainly do. This is a night of celebration for us that have been working on making this happen. I so appreciate several of our staff members from Vincent out there. They worked diligently with this program, and they kept pulling my coattail for the last several years as we worked to try to get this through administration, and I know it was a lot of preparation. I'm excited about it. I'm sure the students are, and welcome Ms. Zilli as the new principal of Vincent as well. We will be working closely together going forward. So thanks, everyone. I'm really excited about this.
I agree with those sentiments. Do committee members wish to make any comments or questions? Directors on board.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. I also just want to speak in favor of this name change. I think the name change accurately represents what the school is doing and will help promote the specialty. I think the work that the staff at Vincent is doing is so important. And if I could go back to high school, I'd want to go to Vincent. So I just can't thank everyone enough for providing this really special opportunity to MPS students. And I'm glad that the name will help us showcase that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
All right, then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard.
I move approval of this item.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Leonard's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the renaming of Harold S. Vincent High School to Harold S. Vincent School of Agricultural Science. On the motion as read, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
Director Zombor,
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Congratulations. All right, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 8, which is action on a recommendation to waive administrative policy 5.01 parent B to rename River Trail K-8 School located at 12021 West Flores Avenue to the River Trail School of Agricultural Science. The recommendation is that the board, 1, waive the administrative policy, and 2, approve the name change.
Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, the item before you on this evening's agenda is the final step in the process of River Trail becoming an agricultural focused K-8 school. This evening, we ask that your approval for the renaming of River Trail Schools to River Trail School of Agricultural Sciences. And I have with me Dr. Tony Dinkins, who will walk us through the process, and I also would like to let you know that Principal Swan is on her way and will be here very shortly, so she will probably be walking in the door before we complete this item. Dr. Dinkins.
Good evening, Chair Garcia and members of the committee. I am Dr. Dinkins, the Regional Superintendent for the Northwest Region, and as Dr. Posley mentioned, our proud principal, Ms. Robin Swan, is on her way. We are excited to bring this item before you tonight. Principal Swan has collaborated with her staff at River Trail and will continue to have a school-wide focus on environmental and agricultural sciences. The school has partnered with several agricultural organizations, including, but not limited to, the Urban Ecology Center, Reflow, 4-H, and the City of Milwaukee Forestry Department. They have collaborated with district personnel to implement lessons, projects, and courses on agriculture. This foci is multidisciplinary and will be included in all content areas, including reading, science, social studies, and math. Therefore, the proposal before you tonight is to officially change the name of River Trail to River Trail School of Agricultural Science. Principal Swan and her staff are committed to the theme of agricultural sciences, environmental responsibility, agribusiness, and energy conservation. And I am prepared to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to make comments or ask questions? President Herndon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We're all smiles tonight because there was a long time coming to this where we actually have official feeder school to Vincent's agriculture program. So hats off to all the administration. This has been in play for a number of years, and we all put our heads together and we finally got it done. I can't wait for Ms. Swan to get in here so she can say her piece, because when I became a member of the board, she contacted me immediately, and she says, "We've been working on this for a number of years." And that's a fact. Ms. Swan and her team were working on getting the school classified as a school of agriculture prior to 2019 when I got on the board. So that's an example of how committed they were to make this happen from within the building. And she's had a committed team. They work hard. They search out grants constantly to help fund their activities at the school. The kids absolutely love it, and you should drive by. Their playground is full of fruit trees is what they planted, and bioswales and all kinds of things. They've been partnering with Vincent, and over the past couple of years, we got a very close relationship built between the two schools, where Vincent takes the, River Trail, actually takes their students on field trips to Vincent. So this is huge. This is huge for the district, and it is huge for the northwest side region. And I implore the community to really look at these stars as they shine moving forward. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, is there any other committee members that wish to make comments? No? All right, well, Ms. Swan, if you're listening to this, just know that there's a huge team that is applauding the efforts and coordination for, getting this initiative through the finish line. As President Herndon mentioned, just the importance of how we as a district are being intentional with the way that programs tie between schools. I am a daughter of two agronomists, so I understand from a personal perspective, just how ingrained, the caring and tending for Mother Earth is important, and just the vast number of careers and, disciplines that are attached to this. So thank you to everyone involved. And has she arrived? Oh, she's here. Perfect. So I'm just going to keep talking until she comes in. But no, this is great. So I know that Ms. Swan is coming through the door and wishes to say some words. I don't know if there's a committee member that just wants to hold the space while we wait.
Just to kill a minute or two.
All right, Director Jackson.
Oh, okay. No,
Here she is.
but I will say before she take the mic, I appreciate the green work that's happening within MPS, the green initiative that's taking place across the district. I've had a few conversations with different community organizations who've been asking what's my thoughts and opinions on that. So I see it's in the work. I see it's happening.
Excellent.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
while Mrs. Swan is preparing, I just wanted you to know that we have no request for public testimony
Thank you for
on
that.
this item.
All right. Ms. Swan, is this a good time? All right, the microphone's yours.
Well, greetings, Chair Garcia, members of the board. Hello, my name is Ms. Swan. I am the proud principal of River Trail K-8 school. I'm coming in front of you today because I am requesting permission to be able to add agricultural sciences to our title. We are doing great things with our 5 A's for success at River Trail, and one of the A's that I mentioned last time I was here at the board is agricultural sciences. We want to continue to improve with our academics, attendance, athletics, arts, and then our fabulous agricultural science program. By being able to expand the name and add agricultural sciences to our title, it'll give us an opportunity to brand ourselves and be able to show the community what we're doing at our school. We want to continue to allow our young students to get their hands dirty so that they can plant, maintain, and grow healthy produce so that they can eat healthy. And with this title, we will be able to extend our program and allow our students to successfully transition to Harold Vincent High School, which is also focusing on agricultural sciences as well. And we want them to be able to advance their studies so that they can go into agricultural production with learning more about food, engineering, technology, and marketing, and be able to go into some careers so that we can continue to plant healthy food, not only here in Wisconsin, but across the nation. So if you can allow us this opportunity, it'll be greatly appreciated.
Thank you for that, Ms. Swan. All right, what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Jackson?
I move that we accept this item.
Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, would the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation to rename River Trail K-8 School to River Trail School of Agricultural Science. Approving the administration's recommendation. On Director Jackson's motion, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
All right, congratulations, everyone. Excellent. Now we will be going back to next item that I believe is item 3, but Madam Secretary, is this correct?
That is correct. The next item before the committee is item number 3, which is action on the monthly finance matters. Authorization to make purchases, the report on change orders in excess of $25,000, the report on budget transfers, contracts under $50,000 in their cumulative totals, the monthly grant awards, and the acceptance of donations. The recommendation is that the board, 1, authorize the purchases, and 2, accept the donations as listed in the attachments to this item with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this evening we're asking for your approval of the monthly finance matters before you. Have Janina Dumchek, Director of Procurement and Risk Management, is here with me this evening. And between the three of us, because we have Martha Kreisman, the Chief Financial Officer, here as well, between the three of us, we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item.
Thank you. Committee members, do you wish to make any comments or ask questions? Director Zambor?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Garcia. I do have a question on the purchases attachment. It looks like there's an authorization for purchases for Chromebooks. It's a pretty large purchase. I'm wondering, I think at the beginning of the year, I was getting some questions from folks about the Chromebook distribution process, making sure that it was equitable across the district. And I'm wondering, how long would it take to get a school-by-school inventory of where our Chromebooks are at right now?
Administration?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm going to transition this over to Chad Myers, Senior Director of Technology, to answer this particular question. Go ahead, Chad.
Good evening, everybody. Director Garcia, members of the committee. Could you repeat the question, please? I was on transition.
Problem.
Yep.
Go ahead.
How long would it take to get a school-by-school inventory of the Chromebooks, of like where they're at right now?
We do have a textbook, Director Zombor, Director Garcia, members of the committee, Chad Meyer, Senior Director, Department of Technology. We do have a textbook management system, Destiny, that is tracking the Chromebooks in the district. Schools are using that to check Chromebooks out to students and check them in and designate them as being out for repair, lost, things like that. I think it would be just running that report and making sure that schools are keeping their inventory accurate in that system.
Follow-up? Would you like to request that report?
Yeah, I can request it. Can I request it when we approve the whole item? That's okay. I'll wait for now.
You want to wait? Okay. President Herndon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have a question about this item on contracts less than $50,000. The contract number is C031843 with the Board of Regents of UW, Human Resources Department. My question is, this is regarding their employee survey regarding the district's participation for the remote work program. I would like to know when there will be a status on this, if the data's been collected as of this point, and it's to be completed at the end of October. So when would we get a summary report on it?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, President Herndon, members of the committee, Adrian Madeline, Chief Human Resources Officer. We plan to be issuing the survey in the next few weeks. We have finalized what the survey questions are and working with UW, and we just need to have the emails put together so they can do the distribution. So it shouldn't take too long after that to get the results, and then they would provide a final report with regards to those results, and we could share that to the board as requested.
Any follow-up?
No, that's it. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I wanted to know.
All right, is there any questions? Director Leonard.
So I'm looking at actually two items. One, I just need clarification. I'm looking at the item with regards to the temporary accounting services. Is that due to the fact that we just do not have enough people in that position to do that work?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Janina Domchik, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. Yes, that is correct. We've had numerous vacancies in the Office of Finance, and that is why we have been using Robert Half to fill those positions.
Any follow-up?
On that one, just a quick one, and I don't know if you can answer this. Is it better for us financially to have that service than it would be to actually hire a full-time person or persons?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Martha Kreitzman, Chief Financial Officer. It is better for us to hire an employee, but Robert Half is also helping us in recruitment. So most of the staff we're bringing on is contract to hire, so we can have them work with us for a while, see what their skills are, if they're a good fit, and then have them go through our normal application process when we post the position.
Very good, very good. Looking forward to that. On a different item, and this is just for me to understand, I just need clarity on the deaf and hard of hearing services. I'm not sure what exactly is that pertaining to? How does that affect our district? What are we doing with that?
Administration. Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Janina Domchik, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. These are interpretation services for those that are hearing impaired.
Okay, I'm looking at the price tag, and I was really surprised by it. The do I have that correct? That's over $1.2 million?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we're going to turn it over to Travis Pinter. Travis.
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Travis Pinter, Senior Director of Specialized Services. Yes, that is the price tag. That contract has run at $450 for several years now, and we were just kind of always trying to pay it up because of how much we were spending on that contract. It's a very valuable service, and it's our only vendor. When we recently had the RFP for it, we couldn't find another vendor that could do what PI can do, and we utilized them quite a bit, so that's why that's the case. This contract will come up again in December, and we've adjusted it a little bit so this won't happen again. But that's why we got to that amount where we had to adjust it.
Thank you, thank you. Just trying to wrap my head around that one. So I do know, I think I was aware of the fact before that we did not have any other vendors that could even do this service. So thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, do any other committee members have questions or comments? Director Zambor?
Thank you, Chair Garcia. I do have, one more Chromebook question. Sorry. How are we ensuring that active devices that are like lost, stolen, or broken, like how are we accounting for those Chromebooks? How are those getting tracked? Does that depend on the school, or is there a district-wide process?
Mr. Meyer?
Chair Garcia, Directors on board, members of the committee, Chad Meyer, Senior Director, Department of Technology. Schools do have the ability, there's a loss of asset report in the Department of Finance that if devices are lost or stolen or damaged, that's to be filled out. That's one way that the fixed assets are tracked. When schools let us know, and schools frequently submit a ticket, when devices aren't returned or lost, we actually disable them so they can't be used. There's actually a little message that pops up that tells them to, the device is disabled, to return it to our tech support center on 66th and Capitol. And that's really the ways that we're trying to, I guess, help from the Department of Technology to make sure that devices are returned. But it's typically a process that's done by the schools, by who's checking them out and returning them, and the follow-up process that's kind of done between the schools and the students and families.
Any follow-up, Director Zambor?
So then, would it be accurate to say that it's really up to the principal to be reporting those to IT, or maybe someone would be assigned to do that at the school?
Mr. Myers?
Chair Garcia, Directors on board, members of the committee, Chad Meyer, Senior Director, Department of Technology. Yes, schools are responsible for reporting that. I think ultimately the principal is responsible for the fixed assets in the schools. Any tickets that are put in, we do work with our technicians that are assigned to the schools, and they let us know when devices aren't returned kind of through their person at the school, whether it's a secretary, somebody who's helping track those devices in the schools, and then we do disable them in our system, and I think the bookkeepers help with the fixed asset piece.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, is there any members of the public that wish to make any comments?
We have no request for public testimony on this item.
Excellent. So then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Directors on board.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. I move to approve the administration's recommended purchases listed in the item, and also direct the administration to bring a report to the November AFP committee meeting that includes a school-by-school Chromebook, I can give this to you, a school-by-school Chromebook inventory with the number of Chromebooks distributed to each school, and then the documented protocols that are implemented to address lost, stolen, or broken Chromebook devices and ensure all active devices are either used, returned, or accounted for.
All right, we're just waiting for a motion.
Madam Chair, I have the motion.
All right, we got the motion. All right, is there any further discussion? All right, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the monthly finance matters and to direct the administration to bring a report to the within the November board cycle. That includes a school-by-school Chromebook inventory with the number of Chromebooks distributed to each school and the protocols that will be implemented to address lost, stolen, or broken Chromebook devices, and ensure all devices are either used, returned, or accounted for.
All right, will the secretary please call the roll?
On the motion as read into the record, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 4, which is action on the award of professional services contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
All right, would administration please present the items?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this evening, we're asking for your approval of the professional services contracts before you. Janine Adamczyk is here with me, and between the two of us, we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. The committee members, is there any questions or comments that you would like to make? All right. President Herndon.
Madam Chair, I recommend that we accept the recommendation of administration.
All right. Before we do that, is there any members of the public that wish to make any comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
All right, so we know that the pleasure is to move forward with a motion. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the professional services contracts as outlined in the attachments to this item. On the motion as read, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director Zombor?
Aye.
Chair Garcia?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
All right, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item 5, which is action on the award of exception to bid contracts. The recommendation is that the board authorize the exception to bid contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we're asking for your approval of this month's exception to bid contracts. However, we would like to remove the Milwaukee Educational Partnership contract from consideration with this item. I have Janine Adamczyk as well as Martha Kreisman here with me, and between the three of us, we're prepared to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? All right.
I will. Excuse me.
Director Jackson.
Just question why we were moving a partnership with Milwaukee Education.
Administration.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, actually what we're doing is looking at it. I got some inquiries and I'm looking at it, and I will be coming back next month with, after I have had an opportunity to take in consideration.
Any follow-up?
No.
No? All right. Any other committee members wish to make comments or have questions? All right. Is there any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Leonard?
I move to accept the recommendation of this item.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
I just want to, sorry, the director's on board. I just want to clarify that the motion wouldn't include MEP, or does the motion have to state that?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, if I understand the conversation and Director Leonard's motion, that would be to approve the administration's recommendation with the exception of the contract for the Milwaukee Education Partnership.
Exactly.
So noted.
Thank you. All right. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On the motion as read into the record, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zombor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, the motion passes.
I'd like to thank you, Board Clerk, for clarifying that.
So noted.
Thank you. All right, next item, Madam Secretary, please.
The next item is item number 6, which is action on the monthly facilities matters, the FMS Award of Professional Services Contracts, the change order, an exception to bid, the contract extension recommendation, and the acceptance of the air quality report. The recommendation is that the board, 1, approve the attached professional services contracts, change orders, exception to bid, and contract extension recommendation, and 2, accept the air quality report.
Will administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we're asking for your approval on this month's facilities matters related to awards of professional services contracts, change orders, exception to bid contracts, contract extensions, and the air quality report. I have Sean Kane, Senior Director of Facilities and Maintenance Services, is here with me to provide this report, and after which the three of us, Dr. Cotton, Mr. Kane, and I will be prepared to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Mr. Kane.
Thank you, Dr. Posley. Good evening, Chair Garcia, members of the committee. Sean Kane, Senior Director of Facilities and Maintenance Services. I'm going to be providing the air quality update. As mentioned in previous report, DFMS is continually working with 4 integrated project delivery contractors that were approved back in July of 2021. Our facilities team has been working with a contracted representative Concord Group, and I asked them to provide me a summary of activities through August of 2023. The IPD teams, the owner's representative, and facilities maintenance has been meeting weekly to discuss budget, schedule, address any outstanding scope concerns. The IPD teams have finished the design and construction documents and solicited competitive bids for SR2 projects through their subs and adhering to the requirements in Board Policy 3.09. Our teams have finalized more SR2 projects after receiving bids related to testing and balancing, water bottle stations, flooring, outdoor classrooms, bug screens, and mechanical projects since the end of December. We've been utilizing project contingency to address cost overruns with the unpredictable market and additional deferred maintenance items that moving forward. We have seen costs come in 15 to 20% over what was anticipated. Therefore, it's been kind of a juggling act trying to work between the SR2 and SR3 funding piece that we have for the facilities team. Concurrently, IPD contractor has been working on those scopes I just identified that truly address air quality. And I need to repeat air quality. Despite all the news coverage of confusing the terms of HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, versus AC, which is air conditioning, we are utilizing a good portion of funds to address ventilation, which impacts air quality. Air conditioning is like heating, which impacts air temperature, not air quality. 2 different things. This statement is for the board's understanding along with the general public listening because it appears some individuals don't understand what we're trying to accomplish with the air quality, working with the ventilation piece. All air quality scopes related to SR2 are either completed or near completion. Efforts to get testing and balancing done on mechanical projects is wrapping up. Bottle stations, 85% of the sites are complete. Flooring projects, 85% of the sites are complete. Outdoor classrooms, 75% complete. Bug screens, 75% complete. There was an extremely heavy volume of work done this summer, and I want to thank the IBD contractors for completing their scopes and our Concord team for their assistance. But most importantly, I really want to say thank you to our facilities team. As projects were reaching a photo finish, our maintenance and repair team were making repairs after repair. Our design and construction team worked long hours, managing hundreds of projects. And then our building operations team, who worked long hours and weekends to get these buildings ready, despite having contractors constantly getting in their way for summer cleaning. Summertime is the busiest time of the year for construction. It never goes as planned, but it's how you respond. So I just want to say I'm proud of the performance of our department because our department folks were asked to do a tall order. As for the mass quantity of projects going on across the district, despite being SR2 or 3 projects, DFMS, the owner's rep, IPD contractors have been working closely with the school leaders as well, because we know how important it is as we start to transition to SR2 projects. They are going to impact SR3 projects that include capital projects, additions, remodeling, painting, lighting upgrades, and some other fantastic opportunities that will be happening soon. That concludes my report, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Is there any questions from committee members? Director Zambor?
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Just a comment, just out of appreciation for the work that your team has been doing all summer to get ready. I know the media was pretty brutal the last few weeks, and there was something I saw where someone criticized some of the facilities work as being aesthetic, and mentioned carpeting. And when my son went to Niscara, I've told some people probably heard this story. The K-4 classroom carpeting was older than the teacher. And if you can imagine what happens in a K-4 classroom with, some kids who, have accidents, it's a messy room. That is not something that's aesthetic, like that's necessary. And so just thank you for the work that you did to make sure that our students have, the best environment to learn in as possible.
Thank you for that. President Herndon.
Thank you. I raised my hand as well to compliment our fantastic facilities and maintenance department on the hard work that you put in over the summer. And I would recommend that anyone that has not visited an MPS school this fall, you should do so, because the staff and the students are excited. They're excited about the upgrades that have been made to their buildings. The children that make use of the K3, K4, and K5 classrooms with all the new carpeting and everything, it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I said it to administration maybe a week ago. I was in North Division, and let me tell you, a woman could put her makeup on looking at the floor. It was glistening. So we're on the move. We're thankful for all the ESSER funding that we've put to good use. In spite of what some may say, you visit our schools, you talk to our teams, you talk to our students. We put it to good use, and they were involved in how the good use was decided upon in many, many cases. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other comments, Director Jackson?
Yes, I definitely would like to thank you as well. I personally have a deeper connection and understanding to all the work that's being done. I never felt no need to micromanage any part of the process because I knew Mr. Sean Kane and the rest of his team would definitely take care of it, and you have. And a lot of people don't understand the moving parts behind the scene, dealing with staff and vendors and those type of issues. So knowing that you were up against the odds, and here it is, more than half of completion, and I take my hat off to you guys.
I echo those sentiments. Director Leonard?
And I just, besides adding, I want to add something, and Mr. Kane, you can correct me if I misunderstand this. I don't think I do. I think sometimes the public does not understand HVAC also for the fact that when it came down to COVID, that was not an option. We had to do something with our buildings, and that was really almost like federally mandated, if I understand it correctly. So the whole idea of improving the air quality in our buildings had to be done at a much more centralized way throughout the whole building. So that's, I guess, a question. I'm assuming I'm correct on that.
Mr. Kane?
Chair Garcia, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance. That is a part of it, because what was really done, I'll say above and beyond that I could say compared to other school districts, not only in the state but across the country, we checked out a lot of boxes. That, we addressed windows, we addressed, putting air purifiers, we did testing and balancing, which is basically doing a ventilation audit of your existing mechanical systems. And what I saw across school districts elsewhere, the ones down south had a little more opportunity because they can use fresh air because, they can open their windows. But not as many went as deep as we did doing testing and balancing, that ventilation audit piece, because that truly tells what type of air quality you have in your buildings. And then also, too, a lot of times you do find out, like, hey, we have some deficiencies that we need to address. So we've done a really fantastic job, and especially being the biggest school district in the state, and the amount of buildings, the vintage of our buildings, I joke around, call them vintage, but, there's some old systems and buildings that we have in place. So we did a vast majority, not kidding, addressing air quality across utilizing ESSER $2. So is as part of some of the DPI and federal guidelines, we could have maybe did a little less, but we felt it was necessary to do more.
Any follow-up, Director Leonard?
No, thank you. We did more, so we have to congratulate ourselves on that. Thank you, Mr. Kane. Appreciate that. And then just real quick, personal mention, there is a difference. When I first went into the buildings with the whole new systems, there is a clear difference. So those of us that have asthma, we can tell that difference when we go into a building that has it versus one that does not have it. There's a significant difference. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public that wish to make any comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Jackson?
Okay. No, I move that we accept this item and give them a round of applause.
Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, would the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to move approval of the administration's recommendation, which is approval of the monthly facilities matters and acceptance of the air quality report. On the motion as read, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zabor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you, and once again, congratulations to Mr. Kane and his team and everyone who has been involved in any way, shape, or form in ensuring not only that we have great buildings, but that we're centering the safety of everyone in our buildings. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, as the committee has dispensed with items 7 and 8, you are now at item number 9, which is action on a request for authorization to enter into a master license agreement with the new Singular Wireless PCS LLC, AT&T, a Delaware limited liability company for telecommunications sites.
Would the administration please present the item?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, this evening we're asking your approval on this item before you as it pertains to a master license agreement with New Singular Wireless PCA LLC. I have Sean Kane here with me, and between the three of us that are sitting here tonight, we're prepared to answer any questions in regards to this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Director Jackson.
So that means we're about to get lightning speed, right?
Administration?
That was just a joke. I said we're about to get lightning speed, right? That's all.
All right. Director Jackson, your dad jokes are amazing. All right. Any other committee members have jokes or? All right. Is there any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
Excellent. So then what is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? President Herndon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we accept the recommendation of administration on this item.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, would the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to item number 9, on the motion as read, Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Zambor.
Aye.
Chair Garcia.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 10, action on a request to approve the Fourth Amendment to modify the lease agreement with Carmen High School of Science and Technology at the Northwest Secondary School building located at 5496 North 72nd Street. The recommendation is that the board approve the Fourth Amendment with the school as outlined in the attachment to this item.
Would administration please present the item?
Madam Chair and members of the committee, this evening we're asking for your approval on the item before you as it pertains to the Fourth Amendment to modify the lease agreement with Carmen High School Northwest. I have Sean Kane with me, Senior Director of Facilities and Maintenance Services, to review this item, after which we'll be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have. Sean?
Thank you, Dr. Posley. Chair Garcia, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. There's a current lease going on with Carmen right now at Northwest Secondary Facility, and what all they're looking to do is relocate. They're on 4 classrooms that are up on the 2nd floor. They're looking to migrate down to the 1st floor and release those 2nd floor classrooms. All it is really is a difference of 442 square feet, and it's just swapping some spaces. And that's what the amendment's being requested.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Director Zambor.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. Would the administration be able to, I guess, speak to maybe some of the history behind the lease? As it, I went back to the original lease, and it looked like there was an intent to use, by 2016, Carmen Northwest was planning on using the full building by 2016, and it seems like that never really materialized. I'm just wondering, why the full building isn't used right now.
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. I know Bridget Schock's going to come out here and kind of maybe explain a little bit of the history, but I do know from the lease arrangement that we had, it's all projected enrollment. I mean, what they were trying to do is work through what their program was going through, and then determine what amount of square footage. I mean, I do know in the past they have put money towards the actual facility, which I'll honestly say not many of our leases sometimes do, so there's a benefit to that. But though through part of the program and the history from 2016, I would say it had to do some enrollment trends, and I'm going to defer over to Bridget.
Chair Garcia, Chair Zomber, members of the committee, Bridget Schock, Director of Contracted School Services. Sean is correct. It was just due to enrollment and meeting their enrollment projections for that time, so the lease stayed where it was.
Any follow-up?
What, do you know their enrollment this year?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, members of the committee, Bridget Schock, Director of Contracted School Services. For the Northwest campus, they're sitting around 645, and that's in grades 6 through 12.
Any follow-up, Director Zambor?
And I guess one more follow-up on this. So if I'm renting a 2-bedroom apartment and I only use 1 bedroom, I typically pay for the 2-bedroom apartment, and I know that this is more of, I don't know if you'd call it like a commercial lease, but it's more, and so I'm just wondering, like, at what point when we don't have contiguous rooms that we can lease out to another group, like at what point do we say, okay, you just have to pay for the whole building because we can't use any of the vacant rooms? I mean, are we at that point with this lease? Or do we have a procedure or a policy where we look at that in our leases?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. It's really a case-by-case basis. If you had someone even wanted to even ask to lease a space that would be, let's just say 25% of the square footage, it wouldn't make sense, and wouldn't be in the best interest too. But when you do lease out space, and again, I get looking at the full square footage of a piece, whenever we don't lease buildings, though, we're paying for utilities at 60% rate to heat a building that has nothing in it. So, I mean, because we have to make sure that we can't have pipes freezing, et cetera. So, those are the things that, are kind of thought through, but also, too, you want to be a good partner. I mean, you want to work with this charter school, most likely, they are part of the MPS portfolio. So, I mean, you want to take a look at those type of things and see if it makes sense to, if there's some, and they're looking at enrollment trends, they want to increase some things. I would say, and I don't want to speak for the rest of the administration, but it's just part of that communication and, collaboration you're looking to do. So as far as I know, there's no policy. It's just what type of agreement you come to. And a lot of the times, too, we take a look at what it doesn't take as many people to clean, cut the grass, do, snow removal, those parts of things. Then sometimes you gotta take a look at a building that might be, you know, a utility beast. I mean, it's got an outdated system, you're paying a lot for that. But then the other thing, you gotta look at the deferred maintenance of what you have for infrastructure in place at a facility, because as we all know, as our buildings age, you know, we have deferred maintenance needs. So a lot of times too, we do work with the city attorney's office. So I guess to answer your question, it's kind of, there's multiple things you look at.
Any follow-up, directors on board?
Just because you mentioned the utilities, I think in this contract, it looks like the board is paying for electricity, gas, water, and sewer, correct? Okay.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. Yes, that is correct, that we are covering that as part of the utility and the rental rate.
Any other follow-up? Any other questions from the committee? President Herndon.
My question was the actual change that was put forth in this contract, and it was regarding trash and recycling as being added. That appears to be the only thing that was added. Why are we just randomly deciding to accept that cost?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Herndon, members of the committee, Sean Kane, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. We've always covered the trash and recycle as part of that. It was just something that wasn't 100% clarified in previous the agreements and the amendments. So we're just doing that as a standard policy, putting that forward. But yes, we've always covered the trash.
It just wasn't in the contracts, though. All the ones I looked at, it wasn't in there until this one, which is the reason for this, part of the reason for this Fourth Amendment. It's in the Fourth Amendment because it wasn't in the others.
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Herndon, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance. Yes, that is correct, that we're trying to rectify that anytime that comes up to make sure it's part of the the amendment and the agreement.
Any follow-up, President Herndon?
No, I'm done.
Excellent. Director Zambor.
One more question. Is there anywhere, so I know when we looked at the Milwaukee Excellence lease, there was a clause about closing procedures, and maybe this is a question for the city attorney or administration, but am I missing that in this contract, or is that in here? And if it's not in here, can we also add a similar clause about closing procedures just in the event that they ever didn't lease the building again?
Administration.
Chair Garcia, Director Zomber, members of the committee, Sean Kane, Senior Director for Facilities and Maintenance Services. Typically, where we would have that as part of the policy, if the leasee was fully terminating their lease, but again, I wouldn't see why we couldn't make an arrangement for that. Like I said, the 4 classrooms are just being swapped out for 4 others, so it's not a whole building. And I want to say by the time, like I said, I think it's like 442 square feet difference at this point.
Any follow-up? All right. Do we have any members of the public that wish to make comments?
Madam Chair, we have no request for public testimony on this item.
What is the pleasure of the committee in respect to this item? Director Jackson.
Yes, I move that we accept this item.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to move approval of the administration's recommendation relative to approving the Fourth Amendment to modify the lease agreement with Carmen High School of Science and Technology at the Northwest Secondary School building. On the motion as read, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Leonard?
Aye.
Director Zambor?
Aye.
Chair Garcia?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on tonight's agenda.
Being there no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.